Welcome to this week's Make It Monday. I hope you're all doing well. We're all settling into January now. It's Christmas seems months ago. Some of you might remember when I broke this tiger face block down and made it up step by step a couple of Mondays ago. And I said that I would, was it only last Monday? Goodness, no, a couple of Mondays ago. I said I would come back and show you how to calculate creating bags or other objects out of orphan blocks. Many of us end up with orphan blocks that we have that just sort of sit around, or we might make something special like the tiger and want to put it into something. So it's pretty easy to make something bigger. The beauty of patchwork is that you can just keep adding to it. The whole idea right from the outset was that we used what we had available and just kept adding until it got to the right size. So I've pulled out my black and white stash, and I actually have quite a lot of glorious black and white fabrics, and I'm thinking of making a bag for my laptop. I want something that I can just tuck into my backpack or my suitcase or whatever when I'm travelling, and be able to just pull out but still look like me and decorative. So you see how optimistic I am that we're actually going to travel again? Anyway, we'll see what happens. So I have my fabrics here. What I have to do is work out the size of the bag that I want. So if I look at my laptop bag, the size of my laptop, my block already comes further out, so I'm not going to need a lot of add extra padding, because this is quite a large block. But if, for example, I was using a small block, let's say a 12-inch block or an 8-inch block, I can work out the size that my laptop bag needs to be, add in enough extra for some slippage, and then create the size and the sides that I want. So in this case, my block is, I think it's a 14-inch square. Where's my other ruler? So, actually that's right, this is not a square block, so that's 13, and that is 14. So it's a 13 by 14 inch block. I want to only add a couple of inches either side of this, but I do need to add some extra for the length. So as I've got 13 by 14, what I might do is a 2.5 inch strip of my white and a 2.5 inch strip of my swirly black for the front of my bag. And then I'm going to stitch that onto my tiger and do the whole thing as a quilt as you go panel. Whatever it is that you're trying to make, whatever size bag you're trying to make, whether it be a laptop bag or a library bag or a shopping bag, work out the measurements of what your finished bag needs to be. Calculate the measurements of your orphan block, and then decide how much extra of your fabrics you're going to need, remembering that when you do a 2.5 inch strip, it's going to be finished at 2 inches rather than 2.5, because you're going to lose the seam allowance. Now I'm going to make this bag in combination of my sewing machine and my overlocker. Let's move on to the next stage. I'll cut my fabric and I'll stitch it, and I'll show you my finished front. I've sewn my my two borders on, so my finished bag size now is 21 inches wide by 22 inches high, and I've got my tiger beautifully framed in the centre of that. Now I've done this quite intentionally because I'm actually going to use the overlocker to finish the sides of the bag, so I need a little bit of space so that I can just lose that into the overlock. To finish this bag, I now need 3 squares of fabric that are 21 by 22, and I'm going to do 2 of the lining inside and I'm going to use my beautiful black swirl as my background. So I think I'm just going to use a Kona, a black Kona cotton or a grey Kona cotton to do the lining, because no one's going to see that. So this bag's going to come up together fairly quickly. I'm going to do a very light quilt over my two sandwiches. So I'm basically going to take my tiger front, a little bit of wadding and a background, do a very light quilt to hold it together, and do the same on the back. And then I'm going to go to the overlocker and do the sides. One of the things I'm thinking of though is I'm probably going to put a zipper in the top. So I'll have to do the zipper before I do the overlocking. Come back for the next step. I've come back now after having done some quilting. I've quilted just roughly. I haven't done a great deal of quilting, just enough to hold it together as a bag. Quilted in the ditch on the front with the tiger, and I've used the swirl pattern to quilt around on the back. I'm now going to pin, well, I have now pinned my zipper to the top front of the bag. So I bought a black one and then I just put the rotary cutter straight through it, but fortunately I had a pink one in my sewing bag dating back to I don't know when. So I'm going to swap my foot over and use my zipper foot, and then I'm going to stitch along the top here, attaching the zipper, and then I will do the exact reverse on the front of the back, so on the top of the back. So I'll stitch that down there first, I'll stitch this one as well, and then we'll be ready to overlock the bag and finish it off. Okay, so now we've changed scenes and I'm in my actual sewing room for a change at the overlocker. Now I've inserted the zipper, it's inside the bag, the two sides are joined now by the zipper at the top. So I've opened it up a little bit and I'm just going to line up the three sides and overlock them. Just going to align this, make sure it's all lined up with the top, and I'm going to overlock down to the bottom corner. Now, one of the reasons we factored in extra space with the fabric, well, I wasn't that concerned about being very precise with the fabric, was I knew I was going to use the overlocker to finish it off. And I know that I've got enough to get past, I know that I've got enough fabric and space to overlock this and cut off any excess edges. Okay, so let's go. Just stitching straight down the one side, then I'll pivot and do the bottom and come back around the other side. I'm just using a basic 4-thread stitch, just a standard wide one, simply because I was too lazy to rethread or change the settings. So, and it's all going to be on the inside, so it really doesn't matter. It would have been potentially better for me to make the threads black. I do have black threads, I just didn't use them. Just pop that thread down. I'm going to turn it around and go around the bottom. So doesn't matter if it's not exactly precise, because I'm trimming off all the edges here, and most importantly I'm taking it out of my border, so there's no corners in my patchwork that I'm chopping off or trimming away. All I'm doing is just tidying it up and sealing all the edges. If you wanted, you could have trimmed this all up to the perfect size, maybe taken 1/4 of an inch off each edge to tidy it up if necessary. But to be honest, that's what we've got an overlocker for. So, last little bit. And we will have a finished bag. So apart from actually making the orphan block that you're putting into your bag, the quilting is the most time-consuming part of this whole process. And I didn't do very much of that, I just did enough to hold it all together and keep it looking neat. Now when I get down here, I want to tuck my, when I get down to the bottom, I want to tuck my zip in so I don't do what I did with the rotary cutter and take all the edges off. So we'll sort that out in a sec, but I'll just want that to be, the tail to be loose, and I'll be able to tuck it. Actually, I want to go the other way, don't I? I want it on the inside. So I'm going to pull it out and put it there and hold that firmly just there so I can overlock to the edge. So that will have my zipper tail on the inside of my bag and won't interfere with the mechanism of the zip. So just coming up to the end now. And there you have it. Okay, so where I've got the zip, I've unzipped that and now just turn it inside out and push out my corners. And that gives me a fabulous padded. So I'll give that an iron, press those seams open a bit, and I've got a great bag that I can put my laptop and the cords and any other things like my portable hard drive, memory cards, all those sorts of things can go in this, and I'll know precisely where it is. The other thing is, if you've done basically the same thing in reverse and put the zip on the bottom, it's a really quick and easy way to make a padded cushion cover. As you can see, that would make a great cushion cover with the right block and the right sizes. I'll take a photo of the whole thing once I've given it an iron, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next week.